Time now for weather with Nebraska Extension Ag climatologist and Market Journal Chief Meteorologist Al Dutcher. Al, we're staring down the beginning of April, and the forecast is especially important this time of year. What can you tell us?
Well, Troy, you're right. We are getting ready to move into April, and it's that time we start to see the planting take progress across the state, ramp it up. And this last month of March has been extremely wet across a good portion of the eastern two-thirds of the state. In fact, when we look at the anti-rain network, and this doesn't include the precipitation totals that started from yesterday through this morning, we're looking at a couple areas of the state, particularly around Juanita and around Hastings, where, at least from the anti-rain network standpoint, two observers reported at Juanita close to 12 inches of moisture, just shy of it, and we're just shy of 11 inches in the Hastings area. And when you look at the widespread number of 6+ inches across the state, it encompasses almost all the central and eastern Platte Valley, extending plus or minus a good 60 miles either side of the Platte and I-80 corridor. So we've got some really substantial water here the last 10 days, and we really need to see some drying, at least for temporarily before a return to moisture, so that we can get some of that moisture worked down and get these surfaces dried out enough that we start doing some farming and getting the planting going. So overall, it does look like the opportunity is there for a little bit warmer conditions and maybe some drying before we turn our attention a little bit later into the month of April for some more active weather to develop. So let's go to the upper air models and see what we have in store. And the trough that was coming through from the central Rockies brought the precipitation overnight hours and moved it through the state. Most of that energy is now passing to the east of us. So we'll have this cooler conditions in store for today. Even though it's a little bit warmer than we've seen this week, it's still going to be primarily right around average. As the main precipitation moves to the east and most of the light snowfall activity remains up in the Dakotas, this system intensifies as it pushes to the east as it pulls that cold air down over the Great Lakes. In the meantime, we'll see warming starting to build up in the western high plains, and that will spread across the state as the day progresses. Tomorrow, we should easily start to see temperatures moving in the upper 60s to the low 70s as we get in the afternoon hours with the snow staying to our east. By the time we get to Monday, there is a GFS model at least showing some colder air moving down in the region. It might be just a tad bit fast. Even though low pressure looks like it's going to set up at the surface, we're going to see a big long fetch of warm air coming into our region. So I think we're going to see widespread 70s across the southern half of the state and definitely upper 60s across the northern part of the state. And on Tuesday, the cold air comes sweeping through, and timing becomes an issue. It comes in early, then we're not going to see temperatures make it to the 60s across the south. Comes in later, then we definitely will. 50s out west. High pressure slides in, but most of the moisture with this is going to stay to our east. So just some light flurry activity across northeastern Nebraska. As that system moves toward the eastern United States, we start to see ridging building up. Much warmer conditions start to build back into the central plains with high pressure firmly in control to the southeast east of us. Will bring in some southwesterly flow at the surface. We still do see a little bit of moisture down in the southern Rockies with this weak wave, but right now it looks like it's going to pass to the south of us. And for us, we will see basically a westerly flow with the northern jet. That brings downsloping flow conditions across western Nebraska and much warmer conditions, and that will spread toward the east as most of precipitation right now is expected to stay south of us. If this moves a little bit farther north, then we'll deal with a little bit more precipitation next Thursday. Then as we get into Friday, another piece of energy tries to make in the southwest and the southern stream and lines up a bunch of low pressure systems that will start to push energy out into the southern plains. That will start to generate some moisture to the east of us and possibly over the central Rockies. And we'll watch to see whether or not this takes a northeastward trip like the last two major storms that hit us here during March, or whether this progresses eastward. That will determine how wet we are next weekend or if we remain dry with a warming trend. As we look out farther, from the standpoint of the numerical models, they believe we're going to see above normal temperatures as that trough builds into the western United States. But they also indicate very strong dry conditions. I think that might be a little bit overdone on the southern half. Do look to see a better chance of precipitation, particularly the second week of the month. So overall, very nice conditions for this next week.